All right, Crowie here with part 6 of 50 cents in the club business lessons. Just flash yourself back to 2003. What were you doing in 2003? Were you even born yet? Were you an 18-year-old with your shirt off or shirt optional on a dance floor somewhere in the Sutherland Shire? Potentially, right? If you were me, possibly, right? I would have to answer yes to all of the above. Crazy times. Crazy times. The things you do when you're young, hey? The things you do. But where were you when 50 Cents in the Club came out? Do you know the words? Could you rap it at a karaoke bar at one of your mates' Bucks parties? I did that. Pretty much knew word for word. Couple of items would have been questionable. Anyway, go from here. Part 6. Fiddy goes on to say, but holla in New York, they tell you I'm loco. I probably can't say what he actually says, but they tell you I'm loco. They tell you I'm crazy. And as a business owner, you've got to have an element of the cray-cray, an element of the crazy. There's going to be, what I'm trying to say is I'm not telling you to act crazy. I'm going to tell you that you're going to look crazy to some people. Some people will be like, hey, that's a bit risky. I don't know if you should be doing that. Hey, have you thought this through? Take the safe job. Have you thought about being an accountant? Have you thought about going to uni? Have you thought about going to work for someone else? Have you considered this? Have you considered that? And I'm not saying don't listen to those people. I think if they're a respected person in your life, yes, you should listen to those people. I also think you should listen to people who've done it before. And if they've done it before and they're looking at something and being like, hey, you need to stop this madness, yes, 100%, maybe you need to stop the madness. But I'm talking about that not everyone's going to be on board with your decision, right? It might be a family member, it might be an auntie, it might be an uncle, it might be a dad, it might be a mum, it might be a cousin, it might be a brother. Not everyone is going to have your appetite for risk. Not everyone is going to have your appetite for I say gambling, but like, I guess it's educated gambling if you're going in for your business. Not everyone's going to understand, and people are going to think you're crazy, and you might be crazy, but I want to encourage you, if you've got a plan and you've got a process to how to get there and you've got a pathway and you're like, hey, I know if I put in this much work at this point, I know if I employ that person at this point, I know if I take this risk, I know if I get that job it can be, I know if I make this call it can, I know if I go past here with donuts it can, I know if I bring a coffee to this person it could, I know if I call my person I used to work with and get them across. Like there's risk in running a business. People are going to think you're crazy. You might even think you're crazy at times. This is where the coaching world is such an important and integral part of it, because it's like, and this is what Cam and I are passionate about. You're talking to two electrical business owners who've I'm going to say we've been there and done that and done everything, because that would be so obnoxious of me to say that, but we've done enough to know what works. And we've coached enough to know what really works. And it's like there's certain rhymes and reasons and seasons and rhythms, and there's certain predictabilities, there's certain elements of like, hey, when this happens, do this, you know, in case of this, do this. So flick that circuit breaker, stop doing that, flick on that and do this. There's certain elements of predictability. So great example is like hiring is probably one of the most counterintuitive things you can do if you're down the wrong pathway. When you're down the right pathway, it's one of the most intuitive things you can do. I often see people advertising hiring, like how to work out how much a tradie like costs you and stuff. I'm like, this is like the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like what essentially a tradie coming on board, you go like, I'll put a van there for them and I'll be charging them out at $4,000 and paying them $2,000. Like it's simple math. It's like, if you've got the workload and you've got like, it's a no-brainer. Like admin is as well. Like if you're pushing 4 to 6 hours in through the nighttime every night, or 2 to 3 hours every night, like you look at it and you're like, you need to hire someone. You're worth $120 now, and you pay someone $30 for this. Pay someone $35 for this. This is ridiculous. So it's like you need the sort of, you've got to have your feet in the sand as a business owner, but you've also got to have your head 6 months down the track. Feet in the sand, head 6 to 12 months to 5 years down the track. So it's like, here's where I am. What is the cost of continuing to do this? What is the cost of hiring, whether that's an admin or what's not doing it going to cost me? So not employing a tradie is going to limit you to 40, 50 hours a week, or limit your team to 200 hours a week, or limit your team to whatever. Not employing an admin is going to box you into this box of, but maybe maybe you're doing all the office work, or maybe your existing staff, like, and there's an admin ratio to follow, but it's like you want to be on the right side of growth all the time, because if you're on the wrong side of growth, if you employ that tradie too late, no matter what size you are, you might risk losing that work where you let people down. If you employ the admin too late, you might risk those quoting opportunities or getting back to people or all that kind of stuff that, to your best efforts of being diligent, might genuinely be too hard, because it's like, oh, for 6:30, I've just worked 12 hours on site. Now I've got 10 emails and 44 phone calls and 17 messages and a couple of voice memos to get back to. Gah. Just gah. I'm done, right? I'm put a fork in me. I'm done. You're just like, I can't do it. So not hiring at some point will cost you. It's not like what it will cost you physically money. It's like, what's the cost of not doing it? That's a way bigger cost than what it will cost you. The cost of not doing it is to be like, sweet, well, I'll never go on holidays. Well, I'll never have a business that's an asset. Well, I'll never be able to have that Sunday watching my kids soccer because I might get called out. I don't know, because that's really important to me. So it's really interesting to sort of reflect on, but it's like sometimes some people are going to find you a bit crazy, and it's like you're going to have to be a little bit crazy, a little bit of a risk taker to even start the business. To run the business, you're going to have to make some big decisions, not based upon your current circumstance, but upon what you see in the future. So if you can employ a really good accountant, a really good business coach, or you've got a really good group of friends you talk to the people that have done it before. Talk to the people that you respect. Talk to the people that are living a life where you might want to be like, hey, how did you do that? And what happened at this point? And because it's like, those people can be like, hey, no, you're actually crazy. So you're like, oh, no, I knew it. Or like, no, if you keep doing this and do this, it'll result in here, right? It's really, really interesting. So don't listen to everyone. Not everyone's correct from both sides of the coin, right? So not everyone's appetite for risk will be yours. And I don't believe that everyone has what it takes to be a business owner. Like, what made you want to be a business owner? Ask yourself that question. It might have been the trade gods came to you on a tablet on a standard Friday night after 6 beers. You're like, they spoke to me. I know they did. It might be like, oh, that's just what I did because I wanted to do it. I got unemployable. I didn't want to take any advice from anyone. And no one tells the big dog what to do. Woof, woof. Whatever. Like, it might be ego. It might be insecurity. It might be a sheer, like, I got laid off, or I got like that job finished in the tunnels and here I am. And whatever reason, you might have had a really good chip in. You might have got like, well, my friends called me and they had 3 really good jobs and I just did it and here I am. Whatever the reason, that's fine. But even starting a business is a relatively crazy decision. But can you make your crazy... Can you bring some rhyme and reason to it? Can be like, okay, now I've started this thing, I've got to get it moving properly. So let's bring it into reality. What numbers do I need to charge? What targets do I need to hit? What's my goal profit for every single job? Does that separate between service and maintenance and project? Can I go less than this? Can I go more than this? What am I looking to hit at this point? And if you can bring your crazy idea, starting a business and buying a factory and having staff, all that kind of, if you can bring that, some education of some practical outworking of that and be like, okay, here's the key indicators. It's crazy. Like, I got this key indicators to hiring document, and it's not until you read it, you're like, oh, like, I thought that was a sign that I was just really, really busy and I was awesome at my job, but really that was a hiring indicator. In other words, like, I wasn't getting back to people. I hadn't answered a phone call since 2003. I've got 1,000 unread text messages. I haven't checked my emails. I've got a Hotmail. I've got a gregcrow@hotmail.com, whatever. It's like, if sometimes your inability to get back to people is just a hiring indicator, and your hiring indicator needs to be, it's like a green light. Like, hey, you've stop at the red light. You're going to be stuck here unless you take the green light, which is a hiring indicator. So it's really, really interesting. But like, some people will tell you crazy, but make sure you listening to some right people, getting some good advice around you and taking some great steps forward. Right, here we go. This ties right into this. Fitty goes on to say the plan is to put the rap game in a chokehold. He wants to put the rap game in a chokehold. His plan is to put the rap game in the chokehold. His plan. That's what we're looking at, a plan. 50 Cent has a plan. He wants to put the rap game in a chokehold. He wants the rap game to submit to him, right? What's your plan? What's your 1-year plan? What's your 5-year plan? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Sometimes we get so caught up in what we're currently doing, we forget to work out what we could achieve if we put our mind to it. I'm a massive believer. Set some high goals, set some lofty goals, set some big goals, set some big numbers, set some good efficiency targets, set some good net profit targets, set some good wage targets, set some goals. What do you want? Where do you want to be at the end of this year? Where do you want to be at the end of next year? I'm a massive believer that, and this is why we run this accelerator course every single month where we measure our billable hours and rip it to shreds. We're like, your time to get your summer body into shape is now. To timestamp this, it's August 2024. We're coming into October, November, December, potentially the busiest part of the year where everything just goes nuts. That first hot day where you need ceiling fans and ducted aircon and split systems and circuits for all the above and maintenance and all the above and diagnostic fees because you can't have people working in a 50-degree office, or you can't have your kids home in a 50-degree like house, because that's crazy, right? So it's like, your time to rip your business into shape is now. Even if summer wasn't coming up, there's no time like the present to be like, what do your numbers look like? What's your forecasting look like? What are your charge outs correct? Is your price book correct? How can you structure and manufacture that in a really clever manner? Like, where can you move here? Are you working for the right clients? You've got to assess all those things, because sometimes you look at the numbers you hit, like on your billable hours spreadsheet, and it's like, oh, I didn't hit the target, and you can reverse engineer it back to like, a client was not ideal. like that client pushed me on that price. So that's what the pricing structure was given to me by those clients. So it's like, we can't move it north. We just might to move on from that client. So your numbers will tell you a story, will paint you a picture, but you have to listen to it. But 50's plan is to put the rap game in a chokehold. What's your plan? What's your plan with your existing staff? What's your plan with your admin? What's your plan with commercial property? What's your plan for the future? Do you want to sell the business or stay? What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to get to? At what point will enough be enough? At what point do you push forward? At what point do you put the brakes on? At what point do you? At what point do you set your work hours? At what point do you go on holidays every single year? At what point to be like, I don't do weekend work? At what point do it's like at 5 o'clock I'll stop, at 6 o'clock I'll start? At what point do you go to the gym in the middle of the day? At what point do you surf? At what point do you know what are your goals? And we all know the rhyme and reason, like if you just surf all day and you're sort of by yourself, you make no money, like, because the law of averages says the less hours you do, the less you get paid, because it's just you or just one or two people. But when it gets to a certain point and your staff members are the asset, your staff members are moving 400 hours, which is much more than your 40 ever was, and you're boosting $20 an hour off each of those hours, there's $8,000 plus materials, there's 10 to 12 grand. If you go across the year, there's your 500 grand. That 500 grand far supersedes the 200 grand you could have made. The management is good because we're structured in a certain way. The admin team's amazing. We're doing some amazing things in this business structure. Sweet, that's all good. Now I can surf in the daytime. So it's really interesting. But I would encourage everyone, no matter what you're doing, just to like pull yourself over or go grab a coffee and go have a think about what you want to achieve, where you want to be as a business, where you want to end up. What are you currently lacking in that? Most of us will say we want to run a really profitable business, we want a couple more staff so we can achieve these financial goals. But no matter how many staff you have, if your foundational price book is cooked, or if your foundational price book or price per point is wrong, it doesn't matter how many staff you have, you'll probably be losing money with 10 staff. It's just going to be a lot more because you've got more people moving through you. Or if your schedule's inefficient, doesn't matter how many staff members you have on, no matter if there's 2 or 3 hour gaps in every single day, or you're finishing early or starting late, you can pretty much wave that money goodbye. Your hourly rate can be correct or even higher, but if you're not hitting your daily target, then what's the point? So it's like really bringing it back and being like, what is your plan? And do you have one? If not, what can you write down, and how are you going to hit those targets that you set yourself? And I'm a massive believer. Set some lofty goals, set some big goals, set some outrageous goals, set some ridiculous goals, because it's amazing what happens when you set the goal. It's amazing what you can do. It's amazing what your mind can do. It's amazing what you can get done when you put your mind to it. So write it down. If you don't have goals, don't have those big lofty goals, you end up sort of like either fluking it into greatness, which is pretty rare. I don't mean greatness like there's going to be a statue of you in your hometown. I mean like we earn good money, we've got this house, we've got this boat, we go on these holidays. Like that's kind of what you probably wanted to do with the family and everything like that. And that's a fantastic pursuit, right? That's the pursuit of happiness, Will Smith style. But set yourself some big goals, or if you don't have any goals, chances are you're just wandering aimlessly in this psycho spin cycle in the washing machine, just like feeling really busy, getting thrown around, but getting nowhere. And the washing machine will give you something to do, but it'll get you nowhere. It's just going round and round and round. So it's like, it's time to stop, collaborate and listen to what your numbers are telling you, to what your goals are telling you, reset and rehash. And I want to just encourage people, like, if you've set some goals you haven't hit in the past, that can be really disheartening. That can be really frustrating. That can be really like debilitating. Like you can feel stuck. It's like I set that and didn't get that, all that kind of stuff. Like I would encourage you to come have a session with us, and let's start small. So where can you hit by the end of this year, which is about 4 or 5 months away? Where can you be by the end of the year after? So set yourself some sort of like little micro goals, you might say. Be like, okay, I want to achieve this, and this. I want to be 2 to 3 weeks booked out with a tradie apprentice team and with this, a point, like whatever. Cool, that's awesome. It might not be the big lofty 5-year beer on this, watching the sunset on the acreage. It might need to start with, hey, where can you be in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? That's really important. So my wrap up here is, you're going to be a little bit crazy sometimes. But hey, set some crazy goals. If you're going to be crazy, at least go down in flames, setting some big, lofty goals and get there. And we're here to help if you ever need us. We are Sparky Coach. We will see you soon.